This course treats JavaScript as an object-oriented language. And this might seem a bit weird to some because JavaScript is not properly object-oriented, but it certainly has all the features that would allow us to treat it in a purely object-oriented fashion with a few caveats, as you can imagine. So the kind of things that we're going to see are generally the latest ECMAScript features that you can get your hands on. So the things that we'll see are classes and inheritance. So you're not going to see me making functions which create objects. Instead, you're going to have classes and you're going to have constructors of those classes. Inside those classes, we'll also have methods, both ordinary methods as well as static methods. We're going to be using things like default method parameter values, as well as rest parameters and whatever other paraphernalia that comes with methods. You're also going to see getters and setters. This is also referred to as properties in some other programming languages, but I'm also going to use the term properties because essentially a property is just a combination of a getter and a setter. In addition, you'll see arrow functions, sometimes referred to as lambda functions in other languages. Once again, don't be surprised. So I'm not going to be writing function XY curly braces, although I might do it in some cases because old habits die hard. You also see template strings everywhere. So I'm going to be using just template strings. So there's going to be interpolation all over the place. Don't be surprised. And if you don't know how they work, just look it up. It's not particularly difficult. So in terms of the demos, there's going to be two modes in which I'll execute my demos. So either I will simply run them under Node.js in a console environment. So you're going to see textual output from Node.js, or you're going to see textual output from Jasmine. So in a few demos, I think there's like 2 or 3 where I use unit tests. And that's also going to be text output. Normally you'd run Jasmine in a sort of visual way. If you're using an IDE like WebStorm, you're going to have all these nice windows which show you the results of unit tests. I'm just going to run them under the command line so that you get to see the output quicker, and I don't have to record the actual IDE. So behind the scenes, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be running WebStorm, but I'm going to be running it in distraction-free mode. So you're not actually going to see any elements of the user interface. You're not going to see any highlightings, any scroll bars. There's going to be nothing to distract you from just looking at the code. That's a hallmark of all my courses as of late. So that's pretty much it. So if you want to follow the examples, then I recommend you get yourself a copy of Node.js. I think that most examples will actually run in a browser environment as well, but there's definitely going to be some that are going to be using things like the file system, for example. So that's going to require Node.js, obviously. And Jasmine is going to be required if you want to run unit tests. And Jasmine is a pretty good framework. It's not particularly complicated, very nice to use. So check that out as well. And with all that said, let's actually jump into the patterns and see what the fuss is all about.